Hello guys, and welcome back to Strategic Command World War II World at War with our first ever PvP against SirTravis. It is October 24th, 1941. We have, in the last episode, done almost everything there is to do as Germany. The front against the USSR is going pretty well, slowing down on both sides right now due to MPP balance on my side, and on his side due to failed offensives and failed defensives. The ocean battle is really annoying to me, but I think it's also really annoying to him. That's all we focus on this turn, really. There's still a couple things to do as them, and not to mention Italy, but I figure just for some variety, we'd look at Japan first, and Japan has some quite interesting scenarios going on. Up here is a very interesting scenario, in fact. Pao To over here, I thought he might attack me, potentially, instead of trying to reinforce. I'm not really sure what he decided to do, but he has an 8 strength army right here. And unfortunately, my injured Kwantung second army here could do amazing damage. And if combined with the 14th army, could in fact kill that unit. However, the actual capacity to do such a thing is not very high. So I think I'll just play it safe for right now, because even if it reaches 10, we have the advantage. And I think its supply is being lowered by being surrounded anyway. I'm not really too sure about that. I know this one isn't, and it's surrounded by 2 technically. I'm not sure, but we do have this arty here as well. That's a contributing factor. A factor that I'm going to actually move northwest, which it will, I guess, keep its shells for now, which is good. We will reinforce and just stay on the defensive up here for right now, as we generally were, and we will turn our offensive eyes elsewhere. But again, this is going to be kind of the same. Looking at research for Japan, they only have 140 MPPs available for research funding remaining. Nothing has finished that is of any importance. The only thing I could fit in there right now would be armored warfare or anti-tank weapons, none of which are important to me right now, especially given my priorities. I don't think I'm going to pass on the opportunity to upgrade these planes this time. It is very expensive to go for everything still, but naval weaponry, especially for the tactical bombers, is just not needed. It's not needed for either of these anytime too soon. So we can at least save on money by just going for long-range air and ground attack weapons, but it's still going to be fairly expensive. I am going to go for it though. Max ground attack, which we just got, level 1, and max long-range aircraft. So these are all now looking a lot more like army bombers, which they sort of are. That's a lot of MPPs. We just burned through half of what we had remaining after paying for the reinforcements of this army, and we now have no ability to do any air bombings, but that was a calculated decision. Another decision I have to make up here is, do I move to take the 10 MPP value mine this turn, or do I focus on killing the Wuhan survivors army this turn? Because only one of these things can be successfully done this turn. And I do think killing the Wuhan survivors army is of higher importance. So I will take the 11th Regional Army across the river. We are going to attack. And we dealt the 6 damage that we were expecting and took the 0 that we were expecting to take. As a result, now, you see we cannot move to the mine because this light tank's interfering. We can go ahead and attack with the 17th Korean Army, going ahead, dealing 2 damage and finishing off that enemy across the river. This now gives me the opportunity to actually move the 17th Korean Army across the river. Now up against the 6th Army, we have 2 units that have broken across the river now. And this is just kind of how our offensive over here is going to have to progress. I'm going to move this corps down the rail. I wanted to claim the entire rail, and now I have. The North Chinese Front Army can and will claim Wanting. Wanting as a 0.25 MPP value per strength point, per supply point. So we're going to go ahead and move over there, claim that. So now we've completely cut this off. I don't know if that's enough to break the Burma Road. I don't remember, but we accomplished this way earlier than we did against the AI because he didn't leave anything to defend over here. That garrison's not moving because that's where the partisan is. This army doesn't need to stay here anymore, because it could just go up here. You know, it's not needed here. Something would be nice to have over there. Something could equal a corps. It doesn't have to equal an army. Depends if I wanted to use this as an offensive front, which I don't know. I might. I think it may finally be time to take a risk over here. Let's attack with the 34th Japanese Army. We dealt 1 damage as promised, and we took none. I'm trying to theorize, like, maybe I could push this back, because this thing is stretching my line in a way that I'm not happy with. We now have better odds with the Central Expedition Army, so let's go ahead and attack. We dealt 3 damage and took none, so that is, oh my god, that's probably the first attack that just, like, or one of the only ones this turn that I was actually just super happy with, and it actually worked out for me like I expected it to. Or better, like, it surprised me, it was good. It was more like my usual luck. I don't know. I'm gonna swap these 2 armies to have the stronger ones off to the left. And the reason why I'm doing this is I'm leaving, like, this is my weak side. The center is strong because I need to keep moving things in order to keep pouring across the river here. And due to this one being over at Wanting, which was a worthwhile adventure, and it gained us a 0.25 per supply point town and a 0.5 MPP per supply point town, and, you know, a full rail connection through Hanoi, and a solid front line against Burma, which will be in the picture soon. It will be relevant pretty damn soon, actually, if you think about it in the grand scheme of things. So 2 armies is not enough to push across here. We do outnumber them, but we need a little bit more force to really send in the message. And until we get right here, this is unfortunately a weird little point where I don't have enough armies to take care of all this. And it's all because of this one guy right here, unfortunately. But we are going to move the 21st Army forward so that it will be able to pour across the river no matter what happens to take care of any direction that combat might happen. We have enough zones of control to stop him from really moving down this way. So that's not really any sort of problem if you ask me. This would be a much better place to put another HQ. We do have 2 just lined up right now. No way am I upgrading any HQs at the moment. We have only 142 MPPs, and we have ships to worry about for D-Day. D-Day? Pearl Harbor. That's our D-Day. And we... what was it actually? Like Operation AI? I forget. Well, we're going to move forward, move the HQs, shift Suzuki and Yamashita west a little bit. That, yeah, that should help supply over here a teeny bit, teensy weensy bit, so 8 to 8 to 7, but, oh, and to 6 here from 5, so that's actually a lot better, in fact. So our front line here will be better mounted for sure, and this one is just gonna stay where it is. It's holding in there, it's doing what I need it to do. For him to hold his defense, he has to kind of stretch things thin. Honestly, with the way the fronts are going, I'm stretching things thin as well. But my air is getting upgraded. We are going to have some better raiding capacity. We don't have the elite reinforcements on these guys. I don't know if we're going to wait for it. It really depends. It's still a good opportunity to go on the attack because we're not in the winter yet. So that's something we have to consider with just everything that we do. Oh, this is going to be a lot of money. There's a fucking army at 5. I think the Navy might be more important than that. Because there's a lot of things we need for Navy. Like, I do want to get the elite reinforcements on the Zuikaku. That's already 42 MPPs. That is already 42 MPPs. I've gone ahead and done a lot of other things, but I don't know if I'll be able to do the 17th Army one. Otherwise, I have to sacrifice Navy combat readiness. It's not vital, right? It's October. Next turn is November, then December. America's only at 65% mobilization. It's not going to skyrocket in that time. It's going to skyrocket once we get to that time. Speaking of, we can get that deployed way down hither to Saigon. This is where I was planning to send it. So it's at Saigon. It's just going to maybe stay there for right now, but we're going to get it to Phnom Penh. And it's just going to hover around down here. I don't think it really needs to get ready to drop anywhere, even if it is a paratrooper. Because when Thailand joins us, that's it. They're just going to join us. They're going to flip just like that. This is just to avoid sending them over the rails by sending them somewhere else first. Because they're going to operate around here where they can be pretty handy to me in dealing with Indians or anything else, really. I don't think we're getting any more upgrades in this turn. Certainly not. But I will go ahead and just reinforce this army. We're down to 16 MPPs. Sad face, but it is what it is. Maybe that's enough to squeeze in an upgrade of something? Yeah, like a heavy cruiser, in fact, can get its AA upgrade in 13 MPPs. There you go. So 2 more ships will be fully ready to go. This carrier is already ready to get moving all the way over there. So we're just going to send this over to truck for right now. Force sail it out there. These 2 ships will be moving as of next turn. And the Abukuma is capable of heading southeast. We'll send it just down to the Marianas for right now. The Congo is ready to get going. You could see that we didn't get as many things ready to get going this time around, but still having some improvements. We have, let's see, 1, 2. Oh, hey, the Fubuki Destroyer can head out. Okay, Fubuki, let's just get you right next to the carrier for right now. We did a lot more work on ships last turn. So 1, 2, 3 sort of more ships. This one 4. This one will require multiple turns to actually get up to snuff. We'll move it down to Hiroshima. Get a little bit closer for now. It has a lot of work that needs doing, but it's also not as important. And that's not even mentioning the fact that we still need to pay for amphibious transport ships. I'm just trying not to forego the war in China that much, because it's actually not where I wanted it to be by the time the war starts. And I don't really know how rapidly their mobilization is going to skyrocket after December, once we get into the new year. But I am taking some risks by just preparing the Navy maybe a little bit slower, turns like this one, so that the Army can stay ready to do whatever it is that they need to do. Speaking of, let's take the Peking Defender Corps. Let's go ahead and attack the enemy 12th Army from across the river. Dangerous, but 2 damage dealt, no damage taken as expected. And we got into level 2 for experience now. Enemies now down to 5 supply and strength at the same time. Unfortunately, there's no way to make this go incredibly faster without taking some pretty big risks. Attacking across a river or not has pretty much the same odds against this unit. It's not entrenched. We're going to just have to take some losses. So 2 damage dealt as expected, 1 damage taken as expected, and we actually got it to run away towards Xingyuan, which puts it in range of my 37th Army, which can then finish it off, and there you go, an enemy army destroyed for the cost of 1 singular strength loss on one of our own corps, which means we can now move the Peking Defender Corps forward, which is very experienced, and we might as well move this corps up forward as well, pushing the front line forward even closer against his other units up here. This army, which is the Sing Sao Elite Army, is across a river, which is proving especially annoying. So we're gonna have to root it out one way or another, and getting behind it is not proving possible. So let's go ahead and just attack it with our stronger 13th Army. We dealt 2 damage, not the one we were expecting, and we've got it down. Okay, that's fairly all right. Not too sure if there's any value to swapping in an army, though. I'll check. This one's readiness and morale isn't too great because it was pretty injured and it got back up to strength, but I'll swap it in. Yeah, no, that's not really gonna do it for me, unfortunately. However, we now have the stronger army on the front, which is something, and the front has moved up here to the point where we could, theoretically, in the future, not right now, look at just simply killing the 5th Army and then simply getting around the Sing Sao, whatever the fucks. I could still try to go for some damage here, even if I do lose a unit. Dealing 5 damage, taking 1, which is exactly what we expected. It means he has to pour more money into reinforcing this army. For me, it's not, it does take away from my naval preparations, but I control the time pretty well on that. He doesn't control anything over here, so by dealing this much damage to this army, I radically hurt what he can do there. We do have Artie to defend if he decides to go on the offensive with the actual Pao Tao army. He might just swap it out and reinforce it, but even then it's going to be a lot weaker off, and I could probably just kill it next turn. Regardless, it will stay weak because he's going to have to continuously reinforce it. If he moves it here, it's going to be a little bit safer. But that's really his only option. Unfortunately, there's a pretty massive sandstorm going on up here, which is going to make any further offensive a little bit difficult. Now, his supply is pretty bad right now. I don't remember beating up his HQ, so I don't know why this would be. I do fear that if I don't push the offensive, that he will just simply get a chance to recover. But with this amount of supply, that's really what's holding him back, not anything else. I'm guessing his HQ might be at, like, Cairo. Well, the sandstorm certainly is not doing him any favors. The Ariete tanks we'll just send up here. We see he does have a recon in the desert. We'll move this HQ right here. Supply will be spreading a lot better starting next turn. We do know that we plan to move the Messy HQ down south. For now, it can only move about this far. We'll just move it down here for right now. That will hardly really end up affecting supply, that slight little movement. According to the manual, sandstorms don't affect anything except aircraft. It says air units, including carrier-based aircraft, cannot attack or spot enemy units. The limited rebasing is possible. Operational movement still allowed. Meanwhile, I can attack into the sandstorm. Might be because I'm not in the sandstorm. So I don't really know how dire the effects of this sandstorm are. I'm just going to take this turn as a chance to resupply. This army to 10. This army to 10. This army's at 8. Definitely get that to 10. 27 spent. 30 MPPs is all we have remaining. That's not enough to transport these cores. No, it's not. It's not enough to maintain our front either. But I'm going to reinforce this one to 10 as well. The RE Corps, I think that was like Rome, right? The Rome Expeditionary Corps or something. Something like that. But we are reinforced on the front. We need to pay as well for the fighters. 14 spent. We only have 8 MPPs left as Italy, just like that. We're still very MPP limited as Italy, unfortunately. We've kind of like burned through our reserves. Our very little research that we are doing is on the verge of finishing. He has to choose between like reinforcement and other things right now anyway. So I think this will be fine. We just won't bomb this turn. We don't have the MPPs to really push anything like that. This guy is just going to stay right here for now. I don't think he's really going to move. I'm going to move you up where you can get to. He's going to see me pushing anyway. So he might think that I'm going to start pushing heavily on this side. And this might cause him to rebase some units. At this point, it's not even to try to get around him or flank him. At this point, it's literally, and that's probably why he has the recon over here, just to keep an eye out. At this point, it's probably because I don't want him to send everything into this corridor where I'm pretty sure I can break through. He could see 2 hexes in. So he could see up to here. He doesn't know that I'm really committing fully over here. He might think I have a lot more stuff over here that's moving. And if he does think that, then that will affect his actions. Let's just move this core up to kind of reinforce right there. And I want him to hopefully spread out a little bit. Maybe not stay so firmly pressed here, because he might think that I have the ability to get through here, which I am going to have the ability to get through here. I want him to try to spread out. I want to freak him out. Maybe cause his lines to collapse again. Whatever I can do, because Ethiopia is on the verge of falling. It could fall next turn. It could seriously fall next turn, and then what? Then he has to run a couple turns up here, and he can just rail up into the action, and then the conflict is renewed, and Italy has an even longer fight. Not that, you know, I didn't even expect them to pull this off, so I am quite happy with what they've done, don't get me wrong. Let's do a maritime bombing of this submarine. 2 damage dealt, none taken, submarine injured. Works pretty well for me. I think he's just getting them all going through this way. Just he's probably worried about if I'm blockading this or not. But yeah, that's all we can do is Italy. It's 100% of their MPP spent. Germany, we still have a couple other things to do navally. Now, first main thing is we don't want to stay here. So I'm going to move down south like that. And then follow along this edge here. Go around, and I see that I have a path. So long as I follow this path, they should both be free to go where they want. For the injured sub, free is going to be to Saint Nazaire just to get it back up to snuff. For the non-injured sub, we're going to move it just down south like this and just send it southwest directly. And then we're going to send it up and around to wherever the hell we want to get it again. Because I still also haven't decided what to do with this one. Because we don't have the Norwegian bases to really operate out of. So it puts me in a pickle where this ends up being like a barrier I need to cross to getting everything resupplied, or this. And I don't know if his blockade is still up. And that's not a very easy thing to check. We do need to get this out of the way though, so let's go ahead and just try this little maneuver right here. Or better yet, this. Sure. I'm amazed that worked. But I think that kind of confirms my suspicions. He's got some sort of blockade going on here. This can then contribute to raiding Canada, UK, or USA, UK, which is good. This one's just going to stay kind of where it is. Hey guys, Rez from the future here to tell you that I accidentally hit a hotkey to mute my mic at this point in the video. But I'm going to put some events behind me under my voice that you can witness that happened. We essentially ended our turn not too long after my mistake. Don't worry, that hotkey is gone. I'll never accidentally hit it again. I went ahead and I bought some more garrisons. I had 150 MPPs remaining after reinforcing the blue tanks, I believe they were called, which I had forgotten to look at in my prior episode. And with that 150 MPPs, I went ahead and I first bought the final Bulgarian garrison. I purchased the final Romanian garrison, as we already had all of the Hungarian garrisons ordered. I then went ahead and I reinforced the core that's sitting on top of the capital of Yugoslavia. It was a Yugoslavian core, went ahead and reinforced that. It went from 8 to 10. And I also reinforced the Yugoslavian core, the Belgrade core specifically, that was sitting just by the tip of the boot of Italy, not on Sicily. I had decided to actually put some MPPs into the Yugoslavians, the easiest to repair ones. Note that I fit both of those repairs in with 50 MPPs remaining, and I still ended up with, I believe, 16 MPPs remaining, because I'm going to need to do this eventually, because that area will be at risk, and I will eventually need to move the one that's on the capital of Yugoslavia, for example, over to Rome, and the other one is sitting nifty by Albania with the Bulgarian core. Those are still just going to stay there, because we don't know if he'll ever open Greece up as another front. Once that was done, I ended my turn, and the final events played through. We did get some morale for Wanting that we took from the Chinese. However, it's not going to make up for the oil embargo hits that we are still taking to our national morale, but we're still so far ahead of China that it won't really matter. Dragging this out is just the best, you know. We are making the most of our MPPs as Japan. Then I did get an event saying that Germany got a treaty with Turkey. A treaty of friendship Turkey apparently signed or offered. I couldn't find any mention of this in the manual or in the strategy guide. The only thing I found was that the Allies can get 10 to 20% swing on Turkey if Germany gets within 1 hex of Sevastopol, which we technically have done, but I don't know why that would be represented as a treaty of friendship to Germany. So this is a mystery to me. You can feel free to comment if you think you know what it is, because I doubt I'll ever solve this mystery. But I have recapped everything that happened. Don't know if it was the same length, but and we got the turn back. Hope that made sense. So let's view the replay that we have received from Travis. As per usual, we've had some back and forth banter, but let's see what's going on here. He's attacked the capital of Ethiopia twice, and he's making no progress. Impressive, considering they have, like, no supply. It's very strange. He has some sort of, I think that was a medium bomber, otherwise it would not have done so poorly. Bombing me off the coast of northern Scotland. He's got a submarine going up northeast from here, probably out to the Asian Sea. I believe I bombed that last turn. He's got a carrier that came out here and is bombing my submarine with normal bombers on board. Did a little bit of damage. He moved it, so he probably ran it back. He's got some movement on the front here. This guy's going further inland. What the fuck is he doing? He is attacking over here. He took 1 damage, dealt 3 damage to a core, took 2 more damage, so even trade, 3 for 3. Him using an army, me using a core. 1, 3, 2, alright. So 6 damage to his armies for 6 damage to that 1 core. He's going all in on it, trying to specifically kill it. I think he's trying to, like, learn from my strategy of how I do things. Whenever we play these strategy games, usually the players end up copying me. Took 2 damage here, he took like 2 damage, ran away with that tank that he moved up for some reason, giving up the location it was defending for some reason. He's attacking across the river, my army, he dealt 2 damage, took 2 damage. He's swapping into attack again. Yeah, we had a discussion where he was getting really upset that I was doing so much damage and he wasn't. And I think he's finally decided to try to copy my whole tactic of just focusing down on 1 unit and only 1 unit. He moved Turkey 16% towards the Allies. He cheered about this. Interesting tactic, we'll have to look at that. Turkey notes with interest the Allied weakness in Iraq. Also interesting. I'm not sure what that's about. Maybe we can look that up in the manual. Suffering attrition losses with the mechanized 2nd South African Corps as well. Iraqi rebels disrupt supply. He probably isn't paying attention to partisans. We did a bunch of raiding. U.S. oil embargo. Panama. Destroyers. Cruisers. Americans. Strategic bombers. Okay. Anything else? I don't think so. Nope. All right, cool. Yeah, over here, he took 3 damage to each army, dealing only, well, 3, yeah, exactly 3 with each here, because I kept the field artillery fully ready for a defensive. He's trying to copy me, I can tell, because again, I spoke to him, and he was very upset. I'm going to reinforce this up to max, using like 50 plus MPPs or something. I spoke to him, and he was very upset that he keeps dealing like no damage, and I keep dealing damage. But it's weird, he's giving me conflicting signals, because he's simultaneously trying to tell me that I'm just getting lucky, while demonstrating in this same turn, and he did tell me that it's just luck on my part, but he's demonstrating in this same turn that he clearly believes it's more than just luck, because his entire offensive strategy everywhere has changed to a new attack strategy that he's never used before in this entire playthrough, but that is my like signature way that I've been going about every assault during this entire game. So I don't know if he's just trying to like get in my head by trying to tell me it's luck when I know it's not, while simultaneously copying my strategy, or if maybe he's not sure himself and he's testing the waters, or maybe he believes both things at once and he's just not thinking it through that much. Anything could really be the case. But regardless, what he believes doesn't actually matter. What he's doing is what matters. And I find it so strange he keeps running this first mechanized away. Let's just attack it with the garrison, because even the garrison can do some pretty good damage right now. There you go. 2 damage dealt with the garrison and none taken. And he's still got this guy right here. It's snowing now up in Finland, so any attacks are gonna be difficult. There's no entrenchment here, so he's definitely incentivized to attack this core. He's losing more than he's taking by attacking. He's not dealing the damage he needs to make it an even trade. The allies don't need even trades in the long run, but he can't sustain this offensive. The values here haven't changed except for readiness and morale. The entrenchment really doesn't matter. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to field artillery over here at Vipuri. This takes his entrenchment down from 1 to 0. It was already low because he's moving around so much to pull off these attacks. And I'm going to say, fuck it, I'm just going to RD it again. Lower that readiness and morale even more. There you go, nice and low. And take some odds to go ahead and attack with my army, dealing 4 damage, taking 1. A perfectly acceptable trade if you ask me. And something that will stop him from going all out again on an offensive against this core. I think, if you ask me, that little move he made didn't really work out for him in the long run. So let's move the, I guess, Suomussalmi core down here, do a blitz attack, dealing 2 damage, taking no damage on this enemy first mechanized. So I'm going to go ahead and take the first core as well from right here. We're going to move it up and go ahead and finish off his mechanized unit right there. There you go. Beautiful. Now we'll move up, so we'll reclaim all this. Suomussalmi, we need to get back on a supply point and probably a rail line as well before it can really head anywhere, do anything. Everything here has had its move, so they won't be doing anything else necessarily. The Helsinki core, I'm going to move it down here, I think. Yeah, I'll move it down here for right now, the Helsinki core, and it's just going to serve as like an extra defense. I'm not going to move it up because supply is so bad, but an extra little defense that can swap in and out as need be, or just stop him from doing any flanking tactics. These guys will recover and then they can be deployed elsewhere, as well as that garrison. Just the whole group here could be operated or just simply move elsewhere, but they're fine for right now. This is just the start of this turn of November 21st, 1941. However, we are out of time for this episode, so we're gonna go ahead and continue this in the next one. But for now, thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode.